This conference will now be recorded.
Do we have Councilman Kaspersky on here?
This is him.
Are you a caller number one?
Yes, I don't know. I called him now. So
Okay. I think that background noise is coming from you, Robert.
yes, I'm in my field office right now. Is it better now?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. All right, it being 6:30, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the January 14th, 2021 meeting of the council of the town of Elsmere. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence for those wishing to do so. All right, Councilman Hurst, we can do roll call, please.
First district,
Present.
second district,
Present.
third district,
Present.
fourth district,
Yes. Here.
fifth district,
Present.
sixth district is present. Mayor,
Present.
town solicitor,
Present.
town manager,
Here.
police chief.
Because he's trying to log on, having a problem with the internet. You might be a few.
Okay.
All right, before we get into public comment, Diana, do you want to read the virtual statement, please?
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Elsmere, January 14th, 2021 meeting of the Mayor and Council. It is now 6:30 p.m. and the meeting is being held virtually using GoToMeeting video conferencing with a teleconference option. For those attending the meeting using the video conferencing option on the computer or tablet, we ask that you please mute your microphones using the microphone button on the top right or bottom middle of your video screen. For those attending using the GoToMeeting app on your smartphone, please ensure that you have entered your name as well as mute your microphone using the microphone button at the top right of your screen. For those of you attending by calling in using a cell phone, please ensure to mute your phone using your cell phone's standard mute button. For those attending using a traditional telephone, please press *6 to mute your telephone. There will be a time permitted for public comment where attendees will be permitted to unmute their phones. We ask that you please wait for the appropriate time and then please identify yourself by name and address prior to speaking. In addition, if you are using the mobile app or are using the web conference, there is a chat function where questions may be submitted in writing and will be monitored by staff and addressed by the mayor and council during the meeting. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mayor Eric Thompson to move forward with the agenda for the evening.
Did anybody sign up for public comment? Anybody want public comment?
Yes, I would like to comment publicly.
All right, is that John Pockets?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, how the progress was going on the moratorium that was established, last month on impervious coverage. Basically a ban on driveways and sheds and anything that creates impervious coverage. Do we have any progress? Is there anything going on with that? That's what I'd like to know.
Sure. John Giles, do you want to address that?
Yes, sir. There is some progress to become later on tonight in the report, under the town manager's report. I'd rather hold off till then, so anybody coming on now will be able to have a chance to get it later on in the meeting as well. If that's
Sure.
okay, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
Just because it seemed like at the planning meeting, it seemed like nobody really seems to know anything about this. I did some research into pervious concrete as well as pervious asphalt, and I actually know a contractor in the area who has done a few jobs. I haven't really had enough time to investigate it, but I do have some information on that I could share. I guess maybe later.
Okay, great. We'll take it from you there at that time in the town manager's report.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the December 10th, 2020 council meeting. And I would just like to, I was looking over that and I remember some of the discussions being much more involved and there being a lot more to them than what is contained in the minutes. I'm not sure they're complete. And in order to ensure that, I'd like to make a motion that we table them, have them, the tape re-reviewed to make sure, because I think there were suggestions of different things, different avenues to take regarding the impervious surface that should have in there in case this comes up later and people get involved. We have meetings. So I'll make a motion that we table the December 10, 2020 council meeting minutes to be re-reviewed to ensure their accuracy and completeness.
I will second it.
We have any discussion? That's motion by Mayor, seconded by Councilman Hurst. All right, hearing none, we'll vote by roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Persani?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm having connectivity issues. Was this a motion for, this was a motion to table the minutes, correct?
correct.
I vote in support of that.
Okay,
Or
we'll
did
do,
anybody, was a second?
no, it was seconded by Councilman Hurst. We'll do a vote by roll.
Okay,
First district,
okay.
Yes.
second,
Yes.
third. I think Councilman Kaspersky said yes.
Yes, yes.
Fourth district,
Yes.
fifth,
Yes.
sixth,
Yes.
Mayor, yes. So we'll table those minutes to be re-reviewed and address them in the February meeting. Old business, item number 1, introduction for third and final reading, as well as public hearing of ordinance 655, amending or affecting Chapter 204-32 of the Code of the Town of Elsmere by increasing the income level and discounts offered by this chapter. Guess we need a motion.
I will make the motion that we approve ordinance 655.
Motion by Councilman
I'll
Hurst,
second.
seconded by Councilwoman Prasani. Any discussion by council? All right, hearing none. Any public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll vote by roll. First district,
Yes.
second,
Yes.
third,
Yes.
fourth,
Yes.
fifth,
Yes.
sixth.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. It unanimously passes 7-0. All right, new business, and we're going to change the order here so Mr. Pacino can present the 2019-2020 annual audit. You there, Mr. Pacino? Nick?
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm just want to make sure. Let's see if I can get my my screen. Okay. I want to share monitor 2. Okay. I believe I have that up there on the screen. Can everybody see that? It says financial. Okay. First, Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to present our report today. For those who don't know, my name is Nick Pacino. I'm the lead auditor on the audit, and I'm here with my colleague, Vince Barbone, who's a partner at Wistman Giordano. I've been involved with the audit of the town since 2008, and Vince for a few years before that. So we're very familiar with the town and the audit. So I don't want to really take too much of your time, but I'll go over some of the main points. And of course, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm going to start with page 1, which is our report of the independent auditor. And actually, the meat of the report is on the top of the second page, page 2, where we have our opinion. And our opinion, we have issued an unqualified opinion, which is the highest level of our opinion that can be issued for these financial statements. And that's all I really need to go into about the actual report. Now we'll go into the, just touch on some of the highlights of the financial statements. We'll go to page 12. Here is the statements of net position. I'm not going to go into this too much. This is essentially the balance sheet of the town as of June 30th, 2020, compared with 2019. And this encompasses the entirety of the town and all its activities. It includes capital assets. It includes activities for long-term debt. the next 2 pages, pages 13 and 14 are the statements of activities for the years ended June 30th, 2020 on page 13 and June 30th, 2019 on page 14. This is essentially the P&L, if you will, for the town for those years presented, and broken down by departmental activity. You can see the overall change in net position of 459,475 deficit. But that also includes depreciation expense on capital assets, as well as the general activity, which we will get to right now. On page 15 begins the fund financial statements, the governmental funds. And these statements are more closely related to what you would be budgeting for. Page 15 is the balance sheets for the governmental funds. Again, as of June 30th, 2020 compared to June 30th, 2019. And I just want to point out a couple things. Cash and equivalents. The town has, as of June 30th, 2020, over 1,100,000 in cash. So it's a very strong cash position, as the town has always had historically. It is down a little from the prior year, 1,300,000. That primarily has to do with the town paying off the PNC debt that it had taken out for the HVAC upgrades in the town hall building. The rest of the assets are very much in line with the prior year and consistent. And at the bottom, you'll see the fund balance, and it's broken up into different categories of fund balance. The main one we're concerned with is the last line, the unassigned fund balance, 249,000. That is the amount of surplus that the town has available to use to balance future budgets. There's portions of the fund balance that has been assigned for long-term planning, and some that has been committed to contingency reserves. But the 249,000 is what is available. And
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt. This is Councilman Robert Kaspersky. So
Yes.
that is considered the unassigned unfunded balance?
That's unassigned, meaning there's no strings attached to it. There's no reserve for it. It's available to be used going forward.
Do you hear that, the town manager, John Giles, that dollar amount? Hello?
Was that a question to me? I'm sorry.
No, this is a question of the town manager. Town manager John Giles. Do you hear it? That's the dollar amount right now that the town has for the unassigned fund balance.
I heard that, Mr. Councilman, but also that money gets used to pay the bills while we're waiting for other funds to come in and so forth. So it's not like we can walk out tomorrow and $49,000 not be in trouble.
But that is considered the unassigned fund balance. So 6 months or 8 months down the road, if we need to pay a bill, we can use the unassigned fund balance, if there is any at the time.
That's
I agree with you.
Yes, because you questioned that there is no unassigned fund balance, but there is right now. But down the road, if there is an unassigned fund balance, we can use that money to pay off or cover any deficits or debts. That's all I
correct.
need to say. That's all I need to say. Thank you very much.
But if you spend that 249,000, let's say something happened tomorrow and you spent that 249,000, where would you get the money to pay the monthly bills that haven't come in yet?
Well, unfortunately, you lapsed the credit we had with PNC Bank 2 years ago because apparently you said that we don't need to have a credit established with PNC Bank. So it was, what, $250,000 credit?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah. And you said that we don't need it anymore, so I guess we don't need it anymore. I thought we did, but we don't. So that's why we had that $250,000 just in case. So, I mean, that's all I need to say. Thank you very much.
I think we still have the line of credit, don't we, Steve?
No, you lapsed that last year, Mr. Giles.
Yeah, the line of credit has matured. We don't have that, but PNC has offered us an option for a $500,000 line of credit. We just have not discussed it at this point yet.
So we do have that option. All right, that's good then. So we're covered then for any crisis then. All right, thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. The next page is a reconciliation, which it's more or less an accounting exercise, which goes from reconciles the fund financial statements with the government-wide financial statements that were back on pages 3, 4, and 5 there. So I'm not really going to go into that too much. Just it will show you that here it's taking into account the capital assets, which are not shown in this balance sheet. I'm sorry, I don't mean to move it around too much, but and it also takes into account long-term debt and unavailable revenue, as well as a liability for the pension plans. Page 17 is the statements of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances of the governmental funds. And I'll just touch on some items. Most of the revenues and expenditures in the departments are consistent in the fiscal year 2020 compared to fiscal 2019, with just a few exceptions. You'll note that the total revenues dropped from a little more than $4 million in 2019 to fiscal 2020, $3,686,000. A bulk of that is in the transfer taxes, and in fiscal 2019 there was a little bit of a boom in the transfer tax due to a couple of large properties, being sold in that year, which did not happen in fiscal 2020. Fiscal 2020 is more in line of what you would normally see in a typical year. That is the major difference in the revenues. The expenditures, as you can see, went up, but went up only very slightly from $3,910,000 to $3,941,000. But primarily, most of that was for the debt service, this line here, which, whoa, I want to do that. 236,604. That was the pay down of the outstanding balance of the PNC note, which again, that was used for the upgrades to the building. Obviously, going forward, that's not going to be there. So in this kind of one-time expenditure, the fiscal year 20 is in a better position on the whole than fiscal 19 if you back out that one-time expenditure. The net change for the year is 270,000 deficit, and again primarily due to the payoff of that debt. And the understanding was that was to be completed in fiscal 19, but due to some timing issues and the bank unable to process the paperwork, kind of straddled the year end and went into fiscal year 20. So that's why it's presented in fiscal year 20. Page 18, much like page 16, is a reconciliation of the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance to the statement of activities. And again, accounting for differences in depreciation expense being recorded on the government-wide statements and a reduction in the long-term debt balance. Again, more or less an accounting exercise in a reconciliation there. Page 19 is a separately presented, page 19 and 20 are separately presented statements for the pension fund. The town acts as a fiduciary for the, this is the colloquially is called the old pension fund. We have the statement of net position, which is consists primarily of investments to fund the pension plan. And we see a drop from the prior year, and we'll see that in the next page, page 20, the statement of changes in net position of the pension fund, a loss of 105,000. And it's primarily due to the investments, well, the benefit payments is essentially exceeding the return of the investments. But there's still obviously over 2 million in net assets in that pension fund. And that concludes the basic financial statements. The next several pages, roughly 25 pages, are notes to the financial statements. These are disclosures that are either required or the town feels is necessary to help explain the numbers in the financial statements that we just went through. I'm only going to go through some of the more important ones, but note one starts here on page 21 and carries through to page 26 to the top of page 27. And this is just a summary of the significant accounting policies of the town. Essentially how the town accounts for certain types of transactions, how it presents certain types of account balances in the statement of net position, and just other policies as to how the town collects its taxes and presents investments in the pension fund and some other items there. Oh, hitting the wrong button. Okay. Note 3 just goes through the cash and cash equivalents. The cash is in excess of the FDIC insured amounts, but any excess has been collateralized with U.S. government obligations, so there is no risk to loss for the town in terms of their cash balance. Note 4 discusses the investments in the pension fund and how they're reported. Note 5, which is on page 29, gives a breakdown of the capital assets that the town has title to. Breaks them out into their respective categories and will show what has been written off or depreciated as of June 30th, 2020. And the bottom table is for the prior year, June 30th, 2019. Note 7 on page 30 is a summary of the long-term debt obligations of the town, which we can see the town started with the note payable. Here, paid off the note. The town still does have a liability for compensated absences, which are accrued benefits, accrued time for the employees of the town. And then pages 31
Nick?
through, yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Since there was a question on the line of credit, just go over note 8.
Yeah, sure. That's right. The note 8, line of credit on page 30 here. We have a disclosure that the town opened the line of credit at the point of when the HVAC project begun, and which was a condition of the borrowing arrangement with the PNC Bank. And we have disclosure that the line of credit expired on May 31st, 2020 and was not renewed by the town. Pages 31 through, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my paper copy in front of me, through 39 are several disclosures, required disclosures regarding the various pension plans that the town participates in and or administrates. So just at the beginning here is a summary of the town's net pension liability, and these amounts are for the most part actuarially determined. The actuary goes through all its calculations to determine the liability, and they are presented here. The town has a liability and the police pension plan, $1,600,000, and then also has a liability within the county municipal police and firefighters pension plan, which is administered by the state, for a total pension liability of $1,766,000. And again, this is as of June 30th, 2020. And the liability is also dependent on the value of the investments that are used to fund the plan. So that liability probably has changed significantly as of today, as the market has bounced back from where it was at June 30th. But we present as of June 30th, so that's what the amounts are there. The notes go into descriptions, very detailed descriptions of the plans, how eligibility is determined, how contributions are made, the allocation of the investments, and just some assumptions, actuarial assumptions used in determining these net pension liabilities. And we also have disclosures for future expected outlays, but again, a lot of it is it's very subjective to estimates, but it is required disclosures for these types of financial statements. The town, note 10 is the disclosure of the town's defined contribution plans and descriptions of those. Note 11 on page 40 details the town's leasing arrangements, both as a lessee, where the monthly expenditures, and then as a lessor, where the town collects the revenue for the leases. Note 14 mentions future GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board, and future implementation of accounting methods and procedures that the town may be subject to in the future. We just have to spell out all those that are could potentially affect the town. Most of them will not, except in extreme unusual case. But again, they must be disclosed. And then the next section is required supplementary information. And there's a couple parts to the required supplementary information. The first part is a budget for a general fund budget to actual comparison. So this compares the amounts that were budgeted and what the actual performance was, and results in a difference. And in the margin over here, we've taken some items that were in excess, plus or minus 10% of the budget, and these items represent on the next page the explanations for those items. I'm just going to go back up to this page right here. As you can see, revenues were actually under the budget, and the several items were plus or minus. We can again, the explanations are on the next page, but you can see by type of revenue what was higher and lower in actual performance. And also the same with the expenditures section. Expenditures were actually over as well. So in the combination, we have for the general fund, there was a deficit of $293,000. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, a bulk of that was the one-time payment of the PNC note, $236,000. And again, the other explanations are on the next page, page 45 and 46. Rolls over into 46. The second part of the required supplementary information are just a historical presentation of the changes in the net pension liability. Again, this is required, and it's just a schedule showing the changes from the fiscal year 2015. That was the first year that this was required disclosure. So we have shown it from 2015 on out to the current fiscal year 2020. And you can see the pension liability has remained fairly consistent. It's starting to go up a little bit here. But again, these are all actuarially determined and estimated. These schedules are on page 47, 48, and 49 for both of the defined benefit pension plans. Actually, page 50 as well. And then the last section is supplementary information. This information is not required to be presented, but the town feels that it is essential to help understand some of the information in the financial statements, specifically with the special revenue funds. This is a breakdown of, if we go back to, I think it's page 3. No, it's page 7, the governmental financial statements. The special revenue column is broken down in detail in these pages here in the supplementary section. The special revenue funds consist of municipal street aid and Sally Edie. These are police grants for police overtime and equipment. And other is mostly that is also police grants for equipment and overtime services. And this is just a combining balance sheet, which breaks out each of those specific funds. And on page 52 is the combining statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances in each of those, the activity for the year for each of those specific grant funds as well. And with that, that is our presentation, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from council?
I'd like to also just note that we did meet with Town Manager Giles and Mr. Martin, the finance director, earlier this week to review these, and we did have some recommendations to improve the accounting procedures, just minor housekeeping type recommendations. But we wanted to make sure that we relayed that information to them.
Mr. Bacino, if you're able to do so, can you extrapolate this out and say, are we moving in a right positive direction 5 years from now? Or are there changes, modifications, things that from what you see should be kept in consideration?
Well, I know the one big item obviously is that, for fiscal year, the current fiscal year that we're in right now, you're not going to have this big debt service payment. The revenues appear to be pretty consistent. The transfer taxes and the licenses and permits are down from the prior year, but those figures are consistent with years prior to that. 2019 had some kind of, as I mentioned with the transfer tax, a little extraneous revenue. And there was also a lot of new development, from what I understand, in the town for permitting revenue. So, but the town is in good financial position. It's in a good liquid position, as we mentioned, with the cash. And the liabilities, there's no more debt on the books, so there's not going to be debt service payments. I think the town's in a pretty nice position going forward.
It's always good to hear.
If it answers it enough.
It does. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Vecino? All right, hearing none. Do we need to act on this tonight?
Yes, sir. Need a motion from council to accept or deny or reject the audit report.
I'll make the motion to accept the audit report as prepared.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councilwoman Jensen. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote by roll. First district.
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
Third.
Yes.
Fourth.
Yes.
Fifth.
Yes.
Sixth.
Yes.
And Mayor, yes, unanimously accepted. Thank you, Mr. Vecino. Appreciate all your help, all your work.
Thank you again, and again, we appreciate the town allowing us to perform our services, and we enjoy our relationship with the town. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to introduction for first and second reading of ordinance 656, an ordinance adopting the revised version of the Town of Elsmere's 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update.
Mr. Mayor, this is a required act. Now the state came back with its comments and we received the approval from the state planning office. So this is the next step in the process, and they go before the governor. And Sean O'Neill is here somewhere. I see Sean. Sean, you have anything to add?
Nope, I just have appreciated working with you all, and happy that we were able to get it done on time despite the pandemic hitting us in the middle of the process. So thank you.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve or accept the revised version of the Town of Elsmere's 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update.
Motion.
Make a motion to accept ordinance 656, ma'am.
Yes. I'll make a motion to accept ordinance 656, adopting the revised version of the Town of Elsmere's 2020 Comprehensive Plan Update. Did I get it?
That's it.
All right, I'll second. Motion by Councilwoman Jensen, seconded by Mayor Thompson. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll. First district?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
Third?
Yes.
Fourth? Yes. 5th,
Yes.
6th.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. Pass first and second reading, 7-0. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you.
And thank you again to everybody involved in this. It's a lot of time. New business, item number 2, discussion of setting a date for the annual townwide cleanup day.
Mr. Mayor, I was contacted by Councilwoman Persani asking that we set this date. The tentative date that we have so far for the townwide cleanup day would be Saturday, April 17th. And we made that decision based on the fact that Sunday, April 4th is Easter. The 10th, the following week, is the townwide yard sale on Saturday and Sunday. And the 17th would then be the cleanup day, with April 24th being the townwide election. So we're suggesting that the townwide cleanup day be April 17th, 2021.
John, you're assuming that the COVID restrictions will be lifted by then?
I'm assuming that, I'm hoping that, and if it isn't, the restrictions that they have in place wouldn't interfere with the yard sale and all. That's tell the people to follow the guidelines, and dumpsters now that we do the collection by dumpsters. I don't think there's much exposure from there for our employees.
Okay.
But, I mean, we can always cancel, and probably will have to cancel if something new. But for right now, I guess that the councilwoman wanted to plan it and get it out there and at least have a tentative date for it.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. Okay.
It may be worth looking into to see worst case scenario, if the present restrictions are still in place, whether it could happen, feasibly happen, and go from there. We go ahead and reserve the date and look into it now so we can have those conversations sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they're all outdoor activities, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of leeway there. We're letting schools go back and play sports and all that. I don't see why this would be affected, but we can check.
And John, is Republic able to handle this? Because we've had some issues with them so far. So I was just wondering, will they be able to handle this cleanup day?
I think so. I've touched base with them about it. They want to on a date that we want to do it, so I'll fire this off to them tomorrow, whatever you approve. And have them start working on it. I've talked to them about what we really need. I believe it's 9 dumpsters, and then the manpower to rotate those dumpsters out. So it's really a drop and pick up thing for them. Really not much for them to do.
Do you think that we might need a little bit more, because since last year was canceled, that the amount of trash or items might be more this year, considering since we didn't have one last year?
It could be like the first year we held it, we got swamped.
I just have a funny feeling that Republic right now is not able to handle this. Oh, my gut feeling. So.
Well, we'll see. It's in their contract.
Okay.
Unless you want to cancel it and not have it. We haven't put any dates up for anything yet for events for next year. Matter of fact, we said we weren't going to have any. But I assume since it was an outside event that the councilwoman wanted to have.
Yes, if I may speak. If there's one thing that I've been asked about most often from my constituents is there going to be another cleanup day after everything we do? No, I didn't hardly get any questions regarding, the Christmas, the Easter egg hunt, but everybody that I've spoken to really wanted to see this modified cleanup day. And hopefully, I'm hoping by the late April that we won't be faced with what we're faced with now. And as was stated, it is an outdoor event. And if people can line up for other events, whether that's COVID testing or any other thing that any other big mass giveaways that are occurring during the pandemic, it would just be, we would all have to take the precautions we're taking now. We have to wear masks. So I don't see this posing any more danger unless, of course, something horrific happens between now and then. But I do appreciate everyone's willingness to at least set the date and let's start planning it. And, again, if worst comes to worst, we just do what we did last year, cancel it. But, I would really hate to see this be skipped this year, especially, since we had to skip it last year. And the longer we skip it, the more we start doing it again, we'll end up with a year like we had the first year we had it. Where it was pretty amazing, the tonnage of items that left this town. And of course, there's always the pickers that come in the middle of the night that help us out. So that could that would could help us as well too. But again, thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Would we be doing it again at people bringing it to the dumpsters as opposed to traveling the streets and picking it up from the residents?
Yes, that's the plan. The only problem we're gonna have with this year's is who we're gonna get from a construction field to give us backhoes. That was Paoli's. I don't know if Paoli's gonna do it again or not, but I'm sure he probably would. This is probably his last year, so.
Well, I agree with Councilwoman Persanti and her rationale behind trying to get it done again.
Any other discussion? All right, good. That concludes new business. We move on to departmental reports. Number 1, code.
I didn't realize we were that close, Mayor. If I could have a second. 6. Finance. I'm looking for everything but my code report here. Mr. Mayor, for some reason, I've lost my code report. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. They, council districts, they issued 59 citations, 48 were corrected, 9 fines were issued, and 1 is pending. The district attorney was council district 1 was 10, number 2 was 6, number 3 was 16, number 4 was 3, number 5 was 7, and number 6 was 16. Issued for this calendar year so far 569 complaints. They've received $15,000 in fines, while VIU was billed $29,000 for conducting inspections. Current nuisance properties are 7 Beach, 117 Balloon, and 8 Alville. There are 8 vacant properties located in the town, and they did 17 pre-rental inspections. We're having a real problem over in Joanne's district, or Councilwoman Frisani's district, with 1101 Mattie Avenue. You know, the situation there is an incompetent son who lived there with his mother who has passed away. He's been put away. And essentially the town's taking care of that property, cutting everything, that trees fall and everything else. So it's on the sheriff's sale when they get back to sheriff's sale. But we don't know when that's going to be. That's it for the code department.
Any questions for code?
Hey, John, I have one question. Is the high grass or weeds from December?
Yeah, it went through. It didn't. It was the back year. It was there before December. It grew before December. We got around to it in December.
Okay.
Any other questions for code?
Can public ask a question at this point?
We'll do that at public comment.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, we'll move to finance.
The finance director is here and available for any questions. His really doesn't differentiate from the report you get. So there's nothing that's occurred most recently except another $10,000 attempt to defraud our account at the bank that was caught because of the security measure we put in. So that's 20-some thousand dollars in the last month that someone's tried to get into our account with. That's been caught through the bank security measures. We're working on that. The bank really doesn't care as long as they don't lose any money. So they don't follow up and they're the victims. Steve, anything you want to add?
John, no, I
No,
have
there you
nothing
go.
more to add to that.
Okay.
Any questions for finance? Well, it looks like properties are selling at a good clip. That's good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, actually, we should see a surplus in our transfer tax this year. Just to let council know, which is great.
Yeah. It is a desirable place to live. All right, any other questions for finance? All right, we'll move on to public safety.
First, I'd like to apologize. I've been having technical issues. I don't know if they're my fault or the internet, but I want to say the internet. As you all know, I sent you a link that recruit Rosa graduated today. I don't know if anybody got a chance to go on because they were live streaming it. Just strange times. It was, but it was a good graduation. And then also on another good note is last month, as you know, I came here and asked for $4,300 to fix the one vehicle that I was told needed a transmission. When they sent it to the transmission experts, they actually found out that it was spark plugs that needed replacing, a coil pack, and also they repaired wires leading to the transmission. So that cost $1,800 instead of the $4,300. So $2,500 we're not going to need. So just wanted to bring a little bit of good news to you this month, but that's all I have unless you have any questions.
I'm not sure how somebody confused spark plugs for a transmission, but that's interesting.
Well, that's well out of my wheelhouse. I just have to copy what they tell me. So, but I was happy about it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Any questions for public safety?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Hearing none, we'll move on to Public Works.
Public Works, they patched potholes, 3 of them on Rodman, 6 on Valone, 3 on Alville, 3 on Rodman, and 6 on Maple Avenue. During the month, they concentrated the street sweeper catching up with the MPD requirements for street sweeping the 2nd and 3rd district, as well as going out after the storms we had and cleaning up the debris off the top of the drains and so forth. Parkland, several trees were uprooted during the storm that occurred. Trees fell and damaged fence to 2 properties. We ended up paying for the property owner's fence to be replaced. The portion that was damaged. COVID-19, they continue to fog and sanitize the town hall along with the vehicles. I think the police department had somebody got sick in or something like that. They did the police vehicles. The building, they did the holding cell at the police department was repaired, and they did an abatement on 1101 Matty. And just in general, dumping continues under the Route 2 viaduct on a daily basis.
Any questions for Public Works?
That's it, Mayor.
Yes, I don't know if it's Public Works or not. Don, there was a, was it in December or January that up on Baltimore Avenue, there was a spill from an oil truck making a delivery?
Yes. That was investigated as a spill by the contracting company, and they determined there was no problem. It was cleaned up properly and no fines were issued.
Great, thank you.
Hey, John, I have one question. Has there been any increased
Yes,
efforts
John.
with the Route 2 viaduct dumping?
No, we still keep hearing we can't put a camera down here. I don't know what the answer is there. It's probably going to be overtime, sitting back there and watching to see like you catch a car bound down there, because we
That would
figure
be
we can
nice.
pull into and at least take pictures of cars and tag numbers that are dumping there. We can't find a way to get a camera down there.
John, is that something that you want to work with me? I don't think Public Works should be down there. I think it should be police overtime.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
John,
Okay, Brian?
John,
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Charlie. Sorry.
where did Public Works patch? Yes. Where did Public Works pass on
Where they
Maple
what,
Avenue?
sir?
Because I'll tell you, right off
I'm
of
sorry,
J
not
Street, down
Where's-
about 50 foot, there's potholes on Maple, 1300 block. They haven't
On
patched the
Maple?
holes there. There must be about 6 of them.
right. It says second and third district they were out in. About 6 of them. Okay, I'm looking at tomorrow.
They say
Maple Avenue.
Yeah, Maple Avenue from J down to 1315 Maple. They're pretty bad. They said they patched 6 holes
Right when you
on Maple Avenue, but I don't see where they patched them.
okay,
The 1300
I
block.
don't see them being out there, but Charlie, you can call. You can call if you see potholes. We'll patch them.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I could do that, but
Yeah.
but I mean, they ride by and they see it, they know it's got to be done. I mean, you don't do them. I mean, they're getting bad. You're going to be placing the whole road pretty soon if it don't get fit. That's the same thing happened to Beach. Never got fixed, and then it got worse and worse.
They patched 6 potholes on Maple. So if you still got 6 more down
Yeah,
in there,
I'm
that's
saying
12.
where on Maple.
Why they could patch 6? I don't know. Just Maple Avenue. I'll find out before you get back
I'll
to you.
double check tomorrow and see if they did that. And I just because the road
All right.
right that one section is getting bad, and it's going to end up doing the whole road. It don't need the whole road.
They're all getting bad.
Cars are just
They're
tearing
all
it up.
getting very bad.
Not counting trucks.
They're all getting very bad. We don't have the money to replace them.
So I'm just just a caution.
But we'll work on
But we won't have to replace the whole road.
Okay, you keep cutting out on me, Charlie. I don't know if it's my computer or yours, but you're going in and out and in and out. I understand you want to know what the 6 potholes on Maple Avenue. There's still a lot down. You want to know what they did and what they're going to do about the rest of them.
Out of curiosity on that route too, has there been investigative work, like sitting down there before to see if they could catch people dumping? Because I thought we talked about this before.
No, not to my knowledge, there hasn't been.
No, I think what we really have to
Look
do
at
is,
pole location.
Right, and we had talked to HSI, and with the holiday and everything, hasn't really been anybody there, but I'll follow up with them, next week and see if we can get a poll camera.
Cool. Or anything else for Public Works? Hearing nothing, we'll move to Town Manager's report.
Are you going to the town manager's report?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm getting connection problems now too. Okay.
Seems to be
In
everybody
addition
at
to
Town
the
Hall.
written report for the town managers, what's happened since then? Oh, gosh, this is a nightmare. All right. In addition to my written report, Scott from the code office left today he got done work today. He's out for the next 7 weeks for the medical procedure being done. He won't be back till March 11th. Our request for an alderman's court has been assigned House number or House Bill 66. It was introduced by Representative Mitchell yesterday. He advised me that he thought there would be not much opposition, if any at all, to it in his caucus reports and so forth. The Presidential Inauguration Committee has contacted us about an event next Tuesday where we turn on lights in the town hall and around town, have people ring bells, all at 5:30, based on acknowledging those people who have lost their lives to the COVID virus so far. We plan to participate in turning the lights of town hall on, and we've contacted the Elsmere Presbyterian Church, is the only church we know with bells. So we've asked them to participate.
When is that, Gary?
It is Tuesday night, this coming Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Tuesday, January 19th at 5:30 p.m. Okay, as you know, the election paperwork is out. The election committee did hold their meeting, or election board held their meeting. They approved the timeline. It'll be in an ordinance to you for next month for first and second reading. Setting the rules of the election and so forth. Some of them, Councilwoman Persani contacted me wanting to know where that ordinance was. I didn't put it out because I didn't think it would be approved before the deadline anyway. And the deadlines are set by the charter, so they're not things that council can change. So I didn't put it out earlier. Next election, if I'm around, I'll put it out earlier, or somebody will put it out earlier. But everything that has to happen is mandated by charter for the most part. The ordinance takes up those parts that are not mandated by the charter. Request for county reimbursement. The mayor received a phone call. I think everybody got a copy from the mayor. He received a phone call from the county executive telling him we're going to get another $202,000. And the fact that the deadline of December 30th to spend the money has been extended. And that now police overtime or police time is reimbursable. I didn't believe that, and I called the county's chief financial officer, who said absolutely right. It has been, even though the website still says something different. So we submitted today for the final draw, and we submit today in the police. The biggest one we did was the police department, because we figured if we can recover their salaries, we just get a check back, just do with what you want with. So EPD salaries, we requested $320,000 in reimbursement from EPD salaries for the period of March. We've had $500,000 in expenditures. So far to date, that'll leave us, I'm sorry, if we get that with what we spent so far to date, it'll leave us $4,171 left over. We have a $900 bill coming in for a telephone that we know is going to go in there. So about $3,200 will be remaining in there for the rest of the year for COVID supplies, if we get this approval, which I imagine we're going to get.
John, if we get that dollar amount
Yes, sir.
reimbursed, how will that be, I guess, listed for our audit for next year then? As revenue or as
I have to defer to the auditors. They're here, still here.
Yeah, I'm
Vince,
here.
can I get you? I don't see,
If you meet
Nick,
the
are you?
requirement, if you, can everybody hear me?
yes?
If you meet the requirement of the
Yeah,
award, I'm assuming you're talking about the CARES Act fund?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we've already,
Yes.
I mean, we've already dealt with this issue with nonprofits. If you meet the requirements of the funding, then it's considered a federal grant award,
Right,
just like any other federal grant.
right.
So will that apply to, if we have a surplus, will that dollar amount apply towards the total town surplus, or will that be separate for next year?
It doesn't, all you have to do is meet the requirements of whatever agreement you had to sign. For example, if the funding was for a specific purpose, if you meet that requirement, then the funding is a grant. It's not tied into surplus or whatever. So long as you meet the requirements of the funding, then you're okay.
So hypothetically speaking, if we get
I
that
haven't-
300-something thousand, go ahead,
Yeah, I
John.
haven't seen the specific of the specifics. Like, for example, let me use an example. Like for the PPP, the first wave of grants or loans that were given out to businesses and nonprofits, basically they said you need to spend the money for this. If we look at how you spent the money and you met the requirement, it's an award. If you don't meet the requirement, then it's still a loan. But I don't know the specifics of the funding you're talking about yet. But it's going to work the same way. If you spend the money in accordance to whatever the government provided the funds for, then you should be okay. It'll be treated just like any other grant.
I mean, the reason I'm mentioning it is that the reason I'm mentioning is the fact that if we get reimbursed, that reimbursable fund will go back to the general fund, and at the end of the year, that'd be considered a surplus, and half of that surplus has to go to contingency fund.
Well, it's gonna, yeah. To answer your question, if you meet the requirements of whatever that funding is, it goes down to your bottom line. Yes.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I misunderstood what you were what you were getting at. Yes.
Okay.
So, but you
Gotcha.
are right. You are right.
Okay, the House Bill 11, which covers the county taxes that the residents are charged, has been introduced to the legislature. They think that'll be out, and hopefully they're hoping that gets approved prior to JFC letting out in 2 weeks. So that goes on, our citizens will see a slight reduction in their county taxes that they pay based on the services that we provide. So that's good.
Yeah, and before you move off of that, John, thank you. You were on the committee that drafted that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It balances things out between the municipalities, which is good. Great.
It does. It means everybody pay their true fair share. It's like people who are out there who don't have a police department, we're getting as much of a discount as people who do. And we're like, wait a minute, we got an expense for a police department. We want credit for that. We want our people to have credit for that. Reduce county tax. Code department, crossing guards, anything like that you supply are all eligible for discounts. So we made out pretty well. And the fire department, anything we donate to the fire department, we can now write off of our that amount figured into a reduction in our county taxes our residents are charged.
Yeah, so the
that's pretty big.
So the residents of Elsmere will get a reduction in the county taxes, should get a reduction in the county taxes based upon House Bill 11.
Right. I've been dealing with Councilwoman Jensen today. Some information that came. Brian sent me an email earlier in the week. Councilwoman Hurst sent me an email earlier in the week. Want to know what the progress was on the the water
Can I
moratorium.
interject
I
something?
didn't have any answers that time. I do now. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to let everybody know that I will be introducing an ordinance to discontinue the town's moratorium on increases on the impervious lot coverage. The town staff received answers to its questions and now knows what needs to be tracked and how to address the increases to move forward. However, council should still require that the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment continue to monitor increases and encourage residents to utilize pervious materials and request hardship scenarios where those materials are not possible. So I'm hoping to do that, I think, next month.
Yes, ma'am. We received the answers from the state. The big thing comes in that we can, I'm sorry, am I cutting you off?
I was just going to say I'll get up with
Did I
you
cut you off,
next week.
Councilwoman?
No, I was just going to
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
John, that I'll get next week.
Okay. With the biggest thing is that if we go over, we can use our credits that we accomplished through the street sweeping and so forth to help apply for that. And we're well over our credits right now. So as long as the committee stays diligent in trying to get people to use impervious surfaces or pervious surfaces, we should be okay. Now we know where we're at. Now we know what we have to monitor. We've added 1 acre of property that was prior to this ordinance was pervious to impervious by issuing permits. So it went from 6 to 7, almost 8 acres we have to account for. We have to treat or account for that, reduce that water. So we think we're okay based on the email we got back from the state or from the county. And we'll go there. We don't think there's any more need for the ordinance prohibiting them to be in there. But like Councilwoman Jensen said, it's all on the committee. It is important that the committee be diligent in reviewing these things and making people have a hardship. And Brian, I didn't
Thank
have
you.
this when I talked to you. Sorry.
That's fine. Thank you.
Do you have anything else, John? Oh, sorry.
Let me just double check here. Yeah. I was talking with the attorney. I don't even put him on the spot anytime he's bringing this up about ways we can streamline our meeting and how we do notices and so forth. One of the things he mentioned to me was that we don't need to have 2 public comments at a meeting. We can only have 1 and meet the requirements, or if that's even a requirement. I'm not sure what his answer was, but is there any interest in council of cutting public comment down to once in the beginning of a meeting and not having it at the end? That way anybody who wants to comment on something on the agenda can do it at the beginning of the meeting, or if it's a public hearing, they can do it during the time of the public hearing, but we're not dragging on it afterwards. Any interest in changing your procedure for that?
I do not at this time. I'm a proponent of people being able to speak at these meetings and being able to participate.
Okay. Look, that's the answer. That's all I have. Sir.
Any questions for town manager?
Whoa.
All right. Hearing none. Any statements by council? All right. Hearing none. Any public comment?
Oh, yes, I would like to speak.
Please state your name and address, please.
Vincent Shavico, 11 Valone Road, Wilmington, Delaware, Elsmere, Delaware. Okay, first off, code enforcement stopped by my next door neighbor's house and posted a cease and desist order on their door while they were inside working and repairing their house. All right, didn't bother knocking and coming in. Why the hell would you do that? That's not just rude. It's, again, I'm trying to get this out there. Public service. If you're a public servant, you serve the public. You don't smack a notice and run. All right? So I'm just saying that right off the bat. All right? We got to get a little bit more of the public service into this shit. The next thing is, where do I find a copy of all Elsmere salaries? I know it's a state law that they're supposed to be posted. And I already went to one website that claims to have the salaries from 2017. And I got to tell you, I work for the state myself. I don't know how the hell people can justify some of the salaries out there. But where is the actual public record of what our salaries are as of 2019?
Make a FOIA request, sir. Fill out a FOIA request for that
You
information.
don't have to. It's public information. It's not a FOIA request. You can go on the web, on the internet, and find any state employee's salary. You are a government employee. It's not a FOIA request. It is public information to be posted.
It's a state law, is my understanding, sir.
Yeah, it's a
For
state law that it's to be public. It's not a FOIA. It's not a freedom. Or are you hiding something? That's when you put out a FOIA request, when you're hiding something.
I'm not hiding anything, sir. The
Well,
first way to do it is ask for a FOIA
publicly,
request.
it's supposed to be publicly posted. All right. I've worked for nonprofits in the past too. I was a post commander for the VFW in Newark, and we everything has to be publicly posted. You are a government employee. It's to be publicly posted.
Can I ask our attorney if he has knowledge on this?
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be something for the solicitor to address.
Yeah, there's no requirement to post on the web or anywhere else.
Is it public notice though? If I request it, other than a FOIA request, how do I get it? How do I get a copy of all salaries of all government employees in the town of Elsmere?
Sir, I can't give you legal advice, but you can file
It's not
a FOIA
legal
request.
advice. This is public. Okay. Is this being recorded? I just want to know when I go to the auditors, state auditors. So what are you saying again? That you do not have to tell me how much government employees are making? Is that, you're the solicitor? Please tell me that officially. Speak into the camera clearly, please.
Sir, two things. First of all, public comment is an opportunity for the public to comment, not for us to answer your questions.
Oh, so you don't work for the public?
Can I finish? Or am I allowed to finish, or are you just going to monopolize this entire opportunity?
I asked you a simple question. If you're going to use double speak, go right ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. McMacken.
Sir, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to not answer any more of your questions. I'm going to tell you that if you want to...
Mr. Shavico, let Mr. McMacken finish, and then you'll get an opportunity.
I'm going to disregard the question from this individual.
Of course. So basically what you're saying is the town of Elsmere does not let anybody know what their salaries are unless we go through lawyers and FOIA requests. Is that what is the official statement of the town of Elsmere?
The official statement
That
of
is
the town.
not the statement that anybody has said. That is something that you are trying to put words in our mouth. If you want to file a FOIA request and the information is available, it will be provided to you.
I just asked you where it was, and you went all FOIA request. It's not a FOIA request. This is supposed to be public information. Is it not?
Okay, so there's a disagreement here, and it's not going to get resolved tonight, but the 3 minutes for public comment is up.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shavico. Anybody else for public comment?
Sure, I might as well chime in since I heard what was happening now with the ordinance I was talking about.
Name and address, please.
John Pockets, 116 Western Avenue. I am part of the Planning Commission. I did get some information. Now, There is contractors in the area that do asphalt paving. It is available in this area. However, to do it, you got to do a soil check to see how much water the soil can retain and how big of a bed of stone you need. So that costs between $2,000 and $2,500. So right off the bat, that is a cost you're asking for us to take up, and that's fine that we ask that. That's great. I love that. You know, instead of banning it, now we're just going to ask people to do that. I think that's, you know, much more in line with where we need to be. So I just wanted to say that. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Pockets. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilwoman Jensen, seconded by Councilwoman Persani. Do I have that right?
I believe Woman Skipsky who made the motion, sir.
I'm sorry. Motion by Councilwoman Skipsey, seconded by Councilwoman Persani. All right,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
by roll. First district,
Yes.
second,
Yes.
third,
Yes.
fourth,
Yes.
fifth,
Yes.
sixth.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great January, everyone.
Thank you.
You as well.
Goodbye.